Yeah, so Real Vision, we started itself to democratize the very best financial intelligence. And part of that journey is I knew crypto was going to be part of this whole thing, part of macro, part of finance. So we covered it a lot, but that's the ethos of the space tends to be free when it comes to this kind of information. And I thought, how can we educate as many people as possible? The space tends to be a bit siloed. People focus on certain aspects, and we wanted to have that broad, deep, here's the full interview about the protocol, and here's 3 follow-up interviews about it. Here's how this is all working. Here are the players. Here are the institutions. Give everybody a much broader space. So Real Vision Crypto was born. And so we, as opposed to a subscription model, we've got some 5 key sponsors, which is fantastic. That allows us to get out to as many people for free. So anybody watching this, if you love crypto, there's a ridiculous amount of content. Scott's obviously been on it as well. It's super high quality what's there. So realvisioncrypto.com, and knock your socks off. It's all there for you. We built it for you to go and take advantage and learn as much as possible. I've been saying this for a while. People are so blinkered in what they see and know, and they hate anything that is change and different. But Elon Musk and Mark Cuban spotted this early on. It's like, okay, people want to trade this because they feel an affinity to this. And it's kind of speculative, but it was a joke, kind of like GameStop was as well. But people started making money and it attracted other people. Suddenly, you had a cryptocurrency worth $40 billion with millions of investors. Well, that's one half of a network. All you have to do is create use cases. So Elon made that pretty clear that actually this is a pretty interesting thing, because anything that's kind of memey can have money because people attach a value to it and they enjoy using it. And it's not like Bitcoin that you just lock it away. It actually feels like it's a transactional currency. Mark Cuban said the same thing. He started accepting as payments, and now they've kind of got the gang back together and they're going to try and build this out into a meaningful cryptocurrency. And you know what? It's got a decent probability just because of how many people like it. And this is this weird new world we're walking into. It's not a world of one money. It's a world of multiple monies for different use cases. I mean, it's hard to get our heads around. We don't know where it's all going, but it's not going where we all think it's going. It'll go somewhere wildly different. Well, we don't know. This is a grand experiment in either the madness of crowds or the smartness of crowds. I happen to believe community is smarter than anybody imagines because of the democratization of information we've now all had, that Real Vision's been at the forefront of, you've been at the forefront of. We've tried to democratize that information. So is the crowd dumb or is the crowd smart? Now, it may have started as a joke because that's what humans like online. They like to have an in-joke and they like to be tribal. So maybe GameStop started as that. But what they've done is give GameStop an ability to reinvent itself. They've given them the money and the option. Whether they take it or not, it's a different matter. So everything in all investing is a probability game. There is a higher probability today that GameStop evolves into something else than there was 9 months ago. Simple as that. Well, I own less Bitcoin and more Ethereum. So basically still 100% of my liquid net worth is in crypto. And I know everybody always asks the split. It's currently 55% Ethereum, which is going up every day because Ethereum's outperforming, which I know some people don't like to hear. 25% Bitcoin, and a kind of tail of an equally weighted basket of other protocols and tokens, plus a bit more of a concentrated bet in community tokens and NFT side of stuff. Purposefully, firstly, I saw the vitriol of the Bitcoin community when I, in October, started saying the ETH chart looks pretty interesting and ETH Bitcoin chart looks interesting. People were angry. They hunted me down online, and I was like, that always makes me, if somebody says I'm an idiot for looking at something, it makes me want to look at it. So I started doing work on it. And the assumption was from the Bitcoin community was Bitcoin was special. It was the only one. And it was driven by store of value, and everything else was a shitcoin. So then I started looking into Metcalfe's law, and I realized that Bitcoin and Ethereum were priced off exactly the same mechanism, as were all of these tokens. And that it wasn't special Bitcoin in how it was priced. It was basically the number of users. And, yes, Metcalfe's law is the number of users and basically the interconnection between those users. And I looked at that and went, oh my God, well, Ethereum's just launched DeFi and NFTs and all of this stuff. So there's a lot more activity going on the chain than there was on Bitcoin. And that made me start to pay attention. Then the chart started breaking out. And then I realized that the breadth of what was happening, the speed of the growth of the network in Ethereum was twice as fast as Bitcoin. So it was likely to grow twice as fast as Bitcoin in price. Simple as that. The greatest trade. And basically, I looked at Ethereum, looked at the on-chain data, and realized that, okay, we've just gone through the EIP 1559. So that's burning ETH. Then I looked at, okay, on-chain, what's going on? Well, there was a huge amount that had been taken off exchange, an enormous amount that had been staked for ETH 2.0. There's a massive amount that was also in DeFi locked away. And that left 13% of the entire supply available on exchange. So the supply is falling every day. It's probably about 11% now. And yet demand was exponential. So if you've got exponential demand and limited supply, you're going to get an exponential rise in price. I looked at this and said, not until ETH 2.0 comes out is this going to change, because everybody's going to stake, because there's no point not staking until that moment, right? Because the ETH price is going to rise. So everyone's incentivized to stake or to take it off exchange, and there's no supply, and it's going to keep falling. And they're burning ETH. I mean, holy shit, you never get an opportunity like this. I'm like, this is better than Bitcoin was in March 2020. This is a monster. If you notice online, this is happening everywhere. It's anti-Tesla, anti-ARC, anti-EV in generally, anti-climate change, anti-vax, anti-crypto. Bitcoin people don't like Ethereum, right? There's this weird split. When you step back and say, what is going on here? There is one narrative that ties it all together. It's the fear of change. We're going through the fastest period of change of all human history. And it's hard for people. And they want to know what they know. And they can't deal with all of this change happening. So Peter Schiff, I had a long discussion with him today on a different podcast. And it's like, Peter just doesn't want to know, really. We're never going to persuade him. He doesn't want to know. He knows what he knows. It's what he values. And that's it. The people who hate Tesla or electric cars or whatever, it's to do with they're moving away from something they know, the trusted car, the engine, the part of the culture, and that all goes. And it's the same with the vaccine, which is a technology. People are like, I don't trust the technology. It's because the future's coming at us too fast. And Bitcoin, with the rest of the crypto space, is kind of the same, because they're like, but we had the perfect thing. And as you say, yeah, but there's different perfect things for different outcomes. And in fact, nothing is perfect here, right. But there's a bunch of use cases for a bunch of different things, and that's okay. It doesn't stop Bitcoin being amazing, it doesn't stop gold being amazing, and it doesn't stop a Ferrari petrol engine being amazing. That's okay. They can all exist, but the world is changing, whether you like it or not.